Oh my goodness, it's even worse than I remembered. It's been a long time since I saw this movie. Like, you should not, like, if that's the tone of voice that the person you're talking to is using, yes, get out. All right, we're back with another Apologist Reacts. This time I'm doing a couple of Pixar movies that have been suggested to me in the comments. Thank you so much. Post in the comments other movies or TV shows, specific scenes you would like me to add to this series. Today we're going to do some scenes from Toy Story 2, and I've been looking forward to this. So again, if you haven't been here before, you might want to check out previous episodes, but I'm an apologist, and so I am analyzing these scenes to try to give you tips on how to have good dialogue. So what are the things that characters are doing in these scenes that are either helpful to emulate in your dialogues, if you want your dialogues or debates to go better, and what are the things that you maybe don't want to do? Again, I know this is Hollywood or Hollywood writers, and so sometimes for entertainment value, you're going to see characters doing things that are not helpful. I get that. It's no judgment on that. But given that in 2020, our civil discourse is at an all-time low, as far as I can tell anyway, I think that we could use all the tips that we can get on how to have good dialogue. So this might be just a fun way to get some dialogue tips in. So all right, let's take a look at some scenes from Toy Story 2.
We're a complete set!
Now it's on to the museum!
Museum? What museum?
The museum! We're being sold to the Kanishi Toy Museum in Tokyo!
That's in Japan!
Japan? No. I can't go to Japan.
So this is good so far. Like, everyone is being clear and transparent with what it is they're talking about. They clearly have misaligned priorities and values, and they can talk about that, but he's not beating around the bush. He's explaining, yeah, this is not something that he can do. So this is good so far.
What do you mean?
I gotta get back home to my owner, Andy.
I like that question. What do you mean? I feel like I don't hear that enough in movies. I feel like so often the person assumes what the person means and kind of jumps forward. She asked a good clarification question. That's great. Good on Jesse. She asked him a question and he's answering.
Look, see?
He still has an owner.
Oh my goodness.
No, can't go. I can't do storage again. I just can't.
Jesse.
I won't go back in the dark.
What's the matter? What's wrong with her?
Well, we've been in storage for a long time, waiting for you.
Why me?
The museum's only interested in the collection if you're in it, Woody. Without you, we go back into storage. It's that simple.
Okay, I want to be careful with how I make this point because this could be very misconstrued, and I feel like that is a thing that sometimes people are looking for opportunities to misconstrue. So here's what I will say. I mean, generally, I think this is going well in the sense that everyone's being very clear with, here are the facts, here's the situation, let's have this conversation. You could argue that the prospector, the tone of voice he's using is a bit emotionally manipulative, but I mean, I've seen a lot worse doing this series, right? On Jesse's side, okay, I want to be charitable and give her the benefit of the doubt. She has spent so much time, abandoned. She's going through like PTSD right now. So like, I believe that like she is actually having, like, this is like a pretty honest reaction. I will just say that there are sometimes people, men and women, will sometimes act overly dramatic in a debate or dialogue situation in order to manipulate the other person. That does happen. It has been done to me. I've seen it. I think it is sometimes subconscious and not like a real intentional thing that people are doing. I would just recommend to anybody, be aware of that. Be aware of, the heart is a complicated, wicked thing. Sometimes, even if we consciously mean well, we can subconsciously do things that are harmful, not helpful, not completely honest. And we should try not to act overly dramatic in a way to manipulate people towards agreeing with us just to get us to calm down or stop crying or things like that. Again, I am not saying people should never cry. I am not saying that people should never display PTSD symptoms in these dialogues. Please hear me. I'm just saying anyone I think has the potential to overdo it. And overdo it not in an honest way, but in a way where you're just trying to get a certain outcome by acting a certain way. And again, men and women both do this. Don't do it. It is better to be honest, transparent, genuine, authentic. All of that, those are the keys to a really good dialogue. Okay, moving on. Please don't cancel me.
It's not fair! How can you do this to us?
Hey, look, I'm sorry, but this is all a big mistake. You see, I was in this yard sale.
Yard sale? Why were you in a yard sale if you have an owner?
Okay, this is where this dialogue is going off the rails now. So I'm fine with Jesse, kind of again. She exclaims this thing at him. She feels like this is unfair. It is legitimate for her to feel whatever she's feeling, whether or not it's really Woody's fault, or whatever, or that is necessarily Woody's responsibility to give her the outcome that she wants. It's not necessarily his responsibility. I sound too much like a therapist right now. I'm going to try to get out of that. I'm not a therapist. I've just had a lot of therapy. No. So what's the problem here is that Woody goes to try to explain. He sees there's been this miscommunication, this misunderstanding of like what his commitment or perceived commitment is, and they've misunderstood and they're hurting. And so he goes to try to explain, here's what happened, and the prospector interrupts him. And that's a huge problem. He's trying to explain, if everyone understood, they're going to be a lot more understanding of like what the situation is. And frankly, his defenses will be down. It'll be even easier for them to convince him, in spite of how, this meetup happened in the beginning, they can still try to convince him to stay with them and be in the museum. And interrupting him and kind of turning it on him as like this is a classic example of the kind of leading question you never should use in a dialogue. It's kind of this like clearly leading toward this implied, seems like your owner just doesn't love you anymore, like that kind of thing. People do this when having debates. You shouldn't do it. It's manipulative. It's not subtle. People can tell when you're doing it, at least usually, and it causes their defenses to go up. I will link to a YouTube video below. It's from our Equipped for Life course that you should get, by the way, but it's from that course. It's one of the dialogue tips that I'm the most proud of us making, because it is very different from how most apologists recommend. But we basically recommend to avoid leading questions or arguments that end with question marks so that it can come across as leading because of that reason. It can cause people's defenses to go up. And there are ways to make your arguments that is more likely to actually get through and potentially change their mind. So if you want to go more into detail on our arguments for why you ought to do that and how you ought to do that and some interesting stories, I will link to that video below. Moving on.
Well, I wasn't supposed to be there. I was trying to save another toy.
Was it because you're damaged? Did this Andy break you?
Yeah, but no. It was an accident. I mean,
so you see this thing where like Woody can tell that the prospector is like sort of trying to misunderstand him or like wants to misunderstand him. And so now he is super defensive. Like he is like doing that, like a lot of that self-censorship of trying to make sure that he is, not saying the kind of thing that can be taken and twisted, because the prospector keeps on twisting his words. If you're in a situation like that, it's probably time to try to end the conversation as graciously as you can. If you can tell the other person is continually trying to twist your words, this isn't a real dialogue anymore. And it's time to, I'm sorry, this isn't working. Let's maybe try this again later. But I feel like it's time for me to go and do some other thing, whatever. I'll link to an article below about why it is important to end unproductive conversations. This is not going well. I mean, even the frame that I've inadvertently paused this video on, like now the way Jesse looks, like this is not going well. I don't think anything productive is going to happen in the rest of this conversation. It's time to end this.
Sounds like he really loves you.
Oh my goodness. It's even worse than I remembered. It's been a long time since I saw this movie. Like you should not, like if that's the tone of voice that the person you're talking to is using, yes, get out. Get out now.
it's not like that, okay? And I'm not going to any museum.
Well,
so I feel like this is fairly justified. Obviously Woody is way raising his voice. It's pretty justified because his words are being twisted so much. If it were me and I was continuing to try to change their mind, I would have backed that off a few notches. There's one thing to raise your voice or to say something strongly, passionately, or to show that like you really mean it. It's another thing to like yell. I think you could do one and not the other. And so that would be like 1 mark off Woody, but it's not that bad.
I'm not going back into storage.
So they're at an impasse. I mean, that's just what it is. Woody is saying, I'm not going to do X. And Jesse is saying, well, I'm not going to do the natural outcome of not X, And so it's just like they're at an impasse. And I don't feel like this dialogue had very far to go. The way everyone is acting, which is why, luckily in this case of this movie, they're going to get interrupted now and the conversation is going to end organically that way. But that wasn't very good. If I were to, to rate them right now, I'll say Woody gets an 8. No, I'll give him 7. He could have come across as more understanding of their concerns. He could have found more common ground. So I'll give him a 7. I'll give Jesse a 5. Again, not because of the dramatics. I think he's experiencing real PTSD. If you don't remember why, watch that devastating Sarah McLachlan song. Like, that's why, okay? The prospector, I'll give a 3, though, because I think he's doing this intentionally. He is intentionally misunderstanding him, intentionally twisting his words in a really manipulative way. It's not okay. He gets a 3.
What is your problem? Look, I'm sorry I can't help you guys out. Really, I am. But you didn't have to go and pull a stunt like that.
What? You think I did that?
Oh, right. Yeah, the TV just happened to turn on and the remote magically ended up in front of you.
You calling me a liar?
Well,
okay. So this could definitely be going better. Like, I think it's legitimate for him to think that he probably did this. He could have made the accusation in a lot better way. He could have said, like, look, I don't know if you are the one who turned the TV on or not, but if you did, that is so not cool. Like, something like that would have been better. And of course, spoiler alert, C's not the one who did it. It was the prospector. So C's right. Like, C has been falsely accused. And so I think naturally C's super defensive. But I think this is where, like, Woody is doing worse. I get it. He doesn't trust them at this point, but I think he could have handled that better. Let's go back a little bit.
what is your problem? Look.
Yeah, so never start with what is your problem. If you ever start your move with what is your problem, I guarantee you this dialogue is not going to go well.
Sorry, I can't help you guys out. Really, I am. But you didn't have to go and pull a stunt like that.
What? You think I did that?
Oh, right. Yeah, the TV just happened to turn on and the remote magically ended up in front of you.
You calling me a liar?
Well, if the boot fits.
Okay, so if you're falsely accused, angrily yelling, "You calling me a liar?" is also not your best move. I think the best thing there, just like as authentically as possible. Like, I honestly didn't do it. It would be wrong to do that. I would never do that. Like, I get it. Like, I do want you to come to Japan, but I wouldn't have hit the remote like that. Like, it wasn't me. Like, just say that. She's getting ready for like a fight. Like, no one's doing very good here.
Say that again.
If the boot fits.
Okay, cowboy.
I'm going to recommend that you don't emulate this in your dialogue.
Jesse, Woody, you stop this at once. I don't know how that television turned on, but fighting about it isn't helping anything.
If I had both my arms.
Well, the fact is you don't, Woody. So I suggest you just wait until morning. The cleaner will come, fix your arm.
And then I'm out of here. Oh, no, Bullseye. Don't take it that way. It's just that
Andy. That's all he ever talks about.
Okay, so I'm conflicted about how to rate the prospector because on one hand, if everything he was saying is true, then he would be doing really well. Like, he did a really good job de-escalating the situation and, stopping the fighting and kind of getting everyone into their corners, right? But he's lying. And so I can't give him good marks for that because this whole thing is a big ruse. I think Jesse has to get worse marks on this one because he's the one who initiated the physical fight, obviously you shouldn't be having physical fights with the people that you're arguing with. So to rate them, so I give Jesse a 2 on this one. Woody gets a 3 for the way he started all of that. And the prospector gets a liar out of 10. I mean, like, how do you rate him? The whole thing, he's lying. I mean, I guess it's a 3 because he didn't physically fight them, but he's totally lying. He's not being authentic. All right. So 3 out of 10.
You never forget kids like Emily or Andy. But they forget you.
Jesse, I didn't know.
Just go.
So I like this, right? So this is after the classic song, one of the best Pixar songs ever. And I feel like you can tell that Woody has been truly listening. And he is feeling so much empathy for her now. Like, obviously, it would have been better if he understood this information before. Maybe she wasn't ready to tell him. But, he feels differently. He understands why she so much wants to go to the museum and be this set and not end up in storage. So I just really appreciate his empathy here. And I appreciate her authenticity where she's now opening up to what is really driving her, what has been going on for her this whole time. I understand her looking away here where like everything is just too painful for her to make eye contact, and kind of giving him permission to go is understandable. Like, it's an impossible situation. He wants to stay and comfort her. He wants to do the thing that she wants him to do so that her life will be better. And she's kind of releasing him from that. So I think they're both doing really well here. I mean, there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of pain going on, and that's part of dialogue sometimes. But generally, I think this is going really well.
How long will it last, Woody? Do you really think Andy is going to take you to college?
So this is kind of a leading question, but I think I'm okay with it. Is he actually being manipulative? Yes. But as far as like his tone of voice, and it's a really fair question, it's more of I think this is closer to a clarification question. Like, is it your view that this is the thing that is going to happen? Like, do you really think this is going to happen? It is leading, but it's not really obnoxiously leading like some of the kinds of questions that we encourage people not to use. I'm okay with this.
Or on his honeymoon?
That's a good point.
Andy's growing up, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I think that was fine too. He's just kind of stating this is basically his primary argument. And he's just stating it in a really kind of soft-spoken way. I think that's helpful here too. A lot of times when people are defensive about things, talking softer is going to help as opposed to, really loud. And so, yeah, it's good so far.
It's your choice, Woody. You can go back.
That's great.
Or you can stay with us and last forever. You'll be adored by children for generations.
So he's being rhetorical, right? Like he's definitely like emphasizing all the pros of staying and the cons of leaving. So that's like a rhetorical trick. But him kind of starting with, it is your call, it is your choice, is going to help bring those defenses down or keep the defenses down. Again, Woody's doing a great job listening and authentically pondering what he's saying, which shows some open-mindedness. That's good.
Who am I to break up the Roundup gang?
Yeah, so this is a lot better. This is more how, a dialogue should go. So I would give Jesse here like a 9 out of 10. I would give Woody a 10 out of 10. Like, I don't feel like he did anything unhelpful. And I would give the prospector... Okay, so let's just do this. If the prospector were being honest and hadn't been lying to Woody, part of the time here, then I would give the prospector in the scene a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7. I give him a 7. He's being rhetorical, but he's handling the dialogue in a way that's just going to be a lot more conducive to persuasion. So I'll give him a 7. All right, one more scene from Toy Story 2.
What's going on here? Buzz, guys, how did you find me?
Watch yourself.
We're here to spring ya, Woody.
You heard of Kung Fu? Well, get ready for pork chop.
Prepare to meet Mr. Angry Eyes.
Hold it now. Hey, you don't understand. These are my friends.
Yeah, we're his friends.
No, Rex, I mean they're my friends.
Hey, stop it! You leave him alone, springy dog!
Notice, no one's listening to Woody. I just don't understand. Woody's trying to be pretty clear here. At this point, everyone's so oh, wait, and their, Slinky Dog is still at it. Come on.
Hey!
Grab Woody and let's go.
Fellas, hold it. Hey, Buzz, put me down.
Retreat! All right, let's go.
You're steering him!
Hold it right there.
Buzz?
You again? Woody, thank goodness you're all right.
Buzz, what is going on?
Hold on.
Oh,
I am Buzz Lightyear, and I'm in charge of this detachment. No, I'm Buzz Lightyear. I am Buzz Lightyear. I'm Buzz Lightyear.
so who's the real Buzz?
I am. Don't let this imposter fool you. He's been trained by Zurg himself to mimic my every move.
Buzz!
I had a feeling it was you, Buzz. My front end just had to catch up with my back end.
Will somebody please explain what's going on? It's all right, Space Ranger. It's a code 546. You mean it's a yes? And he's a oh yeah. Your Majesty. Woody, you're in danger here. We need to leave now.
Al's selling you to a toy museum in Japan.
I know. It's okay, Buzz. I actually want to go.
What?
Okay, so finally people are listening to him. Everyone, the excitement, the fighting, the adrenaline, has kind of gone down, and now we can actually have this conversation, and Woody is being very quick to explain basically his conclusion. I think that's helpful in this case.
Are you crazy?
Look, the thing is,
Are you crazy is pretty much never a good question to ask.
I'm a rare Sheriff Woody doll, and these guys are my Roundup gang.
Woody, what are you talking about?
What am I talking about? Woody's Roundup! Oh, it's this great old TV show, and I was the star. See, now look at me. See, that's me.
This is weirding me out.
Buzz, it was a national phenomenon, and there was all this merchandise that just got packed up. Oh, you should have seen it. There was a record player and a yo-yo. Buzz, I was a yo-yo.
Was. Woody, stop this nonsense and let's go.
Okay, so that's not helpful, right? Anytime you kind of hear what this person's saying, Woody's not doing a very good job of explaining why he would want to stay, right? But to respond to something that he clearly cares about and call it nonsense and dismiss it and move on, that's really, really bad.
Buzz, I can't go. I can't abandon these guys. They need me to get into this museum. Without me, they'll go back into storage.
Do you notice this trend in movies where a lot of times when a character goes to be the most persuasive, their volume drops and they're talking quietly and earnestly? I think that's actually a thing worth emulating.
Maybe forever.
Woody, you're not a collector's item. You're a child's plaything. You are a toy!
For how much longer? One more rip and he's done with me. And what do I do then, Buzz, huh? You tell me.
Okay, so I liked the first part of that where he's being really, really clear with his counter argument, exactly what his issue is, but then jumping back with kind of this really loud, you tell me what he's going to do. That kind of it puts so much pressure on people. Whenever you ask a question, it's here's my problem. Now answer me right now. How would you solve this problem right now? A lot of people just aren't that quick on their feet. It's just not a helpful kind of thing to say, regardless of how you word it. If you're kind of demanding an amazing answer, you got one chance to answer my question right now, it's not going to be helpful.
Somewhere in that pat of stuffing is a toy who taught me that life's only worth living if you're being loved by a kid. And I traveled all this way to rescue that toy. Because I believed him.
Well, you wasted your time.
Yeah. That's hurtful.
Let's go, everyone.
What about Woody?
Yeah, so like I feel like that there was this pivot there where I was fine with what Buzz said. And then Woody has just gone from trying to convince them to like he's given up on trying to convince them. And is literally, look at his body language. He's literally turned his back on them. That's horrible. Ugh. He can do better.
He's not coming.
Like, sorry, I can't stop. Remember what a worldview shift this would be for his best friends, that he is basically just told, I will never see you again. This is goodbye, as far as everyone knows. And he's treating this goodbye in such an awful way. Like now Buzz is handling this better. You know, like the roles have kind of reversed here a little bit. And Woody's just being a jerk now. And I just feel like that happened too quickly. The pivot from handling the dialogue fairly okay to suddenly really, really bad happened fast enough that like it doesn't even feel that believable to me.
But Andy's coming home tonight.
Then we'd better make sure we're there waiting for him.
I don't have a choice, Buzz. This is my only chance.
To do what, Woody? Watch kids from behind glass and never be loved again? Some life.
That wasn't too bad. Like, it's kind of accusatory, it's pretty pointed, but it wasn't too bad. Like, he's definitely kind of making this counter argument as clearly as he can. I think he should have said it more with the tone of voice that Woody had just used. Like, now Woody has finally kind of gone back to that more empathetic tone of voice. I think Buzz should have matched that. But I think an argument could also be made that this is really, really important. And so, like, it needed a bit more oomph behind it, for lack of a better word. And so I feel like it could go either way.
Come on, Jesse. This is what it's all about. To make a child happy. And you know it. Bullseye, are you with me?
This is great.
Okay, good boy. Prospector, how about you?
Da, da, da.
Prospector?
You're out of your box.
I tried reasoning with you, Woody, but you keep forcing me to take extreme measures.
Wait a minute. You turned on the TV last night, not Jesse.
Look, we have an eternity to spend together in the museum. Let's not start off by pointing fingers, shall we?
You really are Stinky Pete, aren't you?
Prospector, this isn't fair.
Fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. Spending a lifetime on a dime store shelf watching every other toy be sold. Well, finally my waiting has paid off, and no hand-me-down cowboy doll is gonna mess it up for me now! Buzz! Help! Buzz! Guys! It's too late, Woody. That silly Buzz Lightweight can't help you.
His name is Buzz Lightyear!
Whatever.
Okay, so yeah, the prospector could definitely have been, used a softer tone of voice or done something. By this point, like, he's beyond the pale. He's kidnapping them, imprisoning them, whatever is the best term for it, He is not letting them go. So that's the bigger problem, Forced imprisonment is always going to be worse than anything that you say badly in a dialogue. Let's just say that. But yeah, he's being too aggressive, I think too loud. Like, he's not going to be as persuasive as he can that way. I thought Woody did great there kind of at the end. Jesse did great there at the end. So as far as kind of earlier when everyone came in and first started kind of rushing him out, I'll rate everyone as far as like how that went. Because after that, everything was basically fine. I'll give Woody a 5 out of 10 because there were times that he was great. There were times that he was like an 8 out of 10 level. But then there's also that horrible moment where he turned his back on them and was acting obnoxious for a while there. So I'll give him a 5. I'll give Buzz a 7. And I won't rate the prospector because at this point, he's a kidnapper. He's a kidnapper out of 10. If you would like to learn more practical dialogue tips like this, I want to encourage you to get the Equipped for Life course. We have 8 dialogue tips as of right now in it. I know I'm planning on filming some more next year, and so we will be adding more to that list. but those are the kinds of tips that if you want to have good dialogues can be really helpful. Also, if you're interested in pro-life apologetics, a lot of the course is focused on the arguments that we found to be the most persuasive when talking to our pro-choice friends. And so if you use the coupon code YouTube, you can get 10% off a permanent membership to the Equip for Life course. And of course, like, subscribe, comment below any movies or TV shows you'd like me to react to in this series in the future. I would love to hear those. I have a decent list right now of scenes that I do want to react to in the future, but if you have something you'd like to see, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and go have an important conversation.